Yo, what's up, chat? Welcome. Welcome to a very different YouTube video today. I wanted to have a little chat about aiming and, shooter FPS video games, and I've kind of gotten a taste for it in Hunt Showdown and kind of got addicted to Apex Legends again. And I have to say, shooter games are very difficult, okay? And back when I grinded Overwatch and I hit a pretty decently high rank, I had like a little bit of a regimen going for myself. Mostly it was like uncontrolled, just play the game a lot. And I also have to add that I never was a god gamer, like I never was a good gamer, right? I was like kind of average, but I hit those diamonds, and then eventually for a very short time I was GM, and I kind of already worked that out, but I played Sombra only. I played some Tracer, sometimes Widowmaker, but that never worked out too well. And generally, I wasn't the aim god, okay? But I had a pretty decent regiment. I didn't really play a lot. I never went above like I think 2,000 hours in the game, which really isn't a lot for a game that you kind of get high level on. And it was okay. I did do some pretty weird stuff sometimes with practice and stuff because I really didn't know what to do, but in the end you also have to consider that Overwatch is one of these games where these games are more easy to get good at in comparison to stuff like to stuff like battle royales in general, right? We will get into the battle royale thing in a second, but I wanted to go over like my basic regimen that I figured out for myself now and kind of the idea behind everything, right? So I have this belief where aim trainers are a great thing to start out, right? So if you want to kind of get yourself back into the groove, or you get yourself into the thing where your aim is kind of like it's still lackluster, but it's kind of like reliable. At least you know where the enemy is, you're not like fully panicking, and you kind of have enough oversight to realize what is going on. That's the most important thing, okay? And then this is kind of the point where you want to kind of stop using the aim trainer for like specific aim training, and you kind of just use it as a warm-up, at least for me, right? So you do your stuff, I don't know, 5-minute, 10-minute warm-up, whatever fits your needs. What I'm currently playing is I'm playing the Kovac 2.0. You can download that I think for free, and that one has a playlist which is called Apex Legends Noded's Favorite, and I just play that playlist, and it has been working out quite well for me, and I kind of want to do a video specifically on that a little bit later on. But right now, the thing that I the thing that I care about right now is more of the grand scheme of things, right? More of the okay, how do I build everything, how do I figure out what I do. And I feel like this is the stuff that like doesn't really get talked about on a YouTube video, and I guess you guys will see in a couple of months or years from now on whether or not I'm high level in Apex Legends or any other game, and maybe it didn't work out, who knows. But I think this is very important for content creators to be a little bit more open with their audience and kind of tell them about what they're thinking, what they're trying to do, what they what they consider, what they don't consider when building an regiment, and not just being like, okay, yeah, just get good. So for me, the number one thing is kind of the idea of like different things making up your ability to play the game, right? So for shooters, there is most definitely aim. Aim is one of the most important things, and just basic understanding of aim and how to move from cover to cover, how to split the pie, stuff like this, how to like move around walls and stuff, right? This stuff is kind of this stuff's kind of like the bread and butter, right? This is like the standard, the fundamentals of the shooter game, and this is kind of what you want to focus on, right? So in Apex Legends, for example, there's like more specific stuff, but a good way to figure this out is looking at ACU's gameplay and looking at Shroud's gameplay and kind of comparing both of them, because Shroud is insanely good at the fundamentals. And this also kind of brings me to the first point, that Valorant or CSGO are like the games to practice your fundamentals. CSGO a little bit more than Valorant actually. And these are the games that like teach you the fundamentals. First of all, the enemies most of the time they expect you, so you don't get cheap shots. Second of all, movement you kind of don't get to practice, right? Movement's kind of like weird one, but aim is like insanely difficult in comparison to other games because your long range and your short range sensitivity are the same. You do not have scopes, well, except the AUG and, you know, like the bullpup, or, you know, you do have scopes, but like you don't really have a lot of scopes. And the scopes that you have, they don't give you like the same advantage that a red dot sight or an ACOG can give you in a game like COD. But this kind of is like the thing of fundamentals, right? Where you don't really see Shroud move like a pro, right? You don't see him like quickly zoom around the map and like slide cancel and like zipline cancel and jump through the like wall hop off the side of a building and be unpredictable and shotgun people. Meanwhile, you just see him like click on the enemy's heads and basically just reliably kill them, right? And it takes a couple of minutes for him to go into the firing range, kind of learn the recoil pattern, the basics, right? And then he gets to it, right? Because it's like he has a lot of RAM available because his fundamentals of tracking, he always runs the same DPI, he always runs the same like setup, right? His fundamentals are down, it's done. He doesn't have to think about them, so he can kind of like focus on the game and like figure out the game very quickly. And this is kind of the thing that is very important in games like Apex Legends, is you can just compare those two, right? This is like a good example, right? And you can just look at the different playstyle. You will see Shroud is not moving as quickly. He's not playing like Dizzy, or ACU is better because ACU is a better comparison because ACU is playing, you know, he's playing that fast pace. He maxed out that movement ability, right? He like really is very good at movement. And so you can kind of compare those two and kind of get a picture of that. But to get back to the point, the idea is that you have like movement and map rotations and weapons and what beats what and specific stuff like that, right? And then you even have like under that you kind of have like those more specific. Oh yeah, this character is good with this character, and if this character meets this character, they, you know, like whatever. Don't worry about that in the beginning. But you have this gameplay, right? And the gameplay stuff is like, it starts with basic map rotations, basic movement, and then you have aim, and you have like the fundamentals, right? You have aim, and you have like aim, basic game sense, understanding how to move around cover, use cover, stuff like that, right? Just kind of get a like spidey sense when you're out in the open, good positioning, bad positioning, stuff like that. And you kind of want to balance all of this with each other, right? So like in a good PC, you don't want to bottleneck, right? You want to upgrade the parts that you want to upgrade the parts that have a little bit of headroom last. So basically, you know, you just let's say your aim is kind of all right. You've played a lot of CSGO, like your aim is on point, but you keep running in like an absolute doofus. And for example, a good example of this is you keep dying to grenades. Keep dying to grenades usually means that you are an idiot, okay? So, you know, stuff like that. Or you keep getting lasered, okay? People like absolutely destroy you before you even have time to respond. That's also usually an indicator of your position is so obvious or so bad, or, you know, just so like reliable, your movement is so bad that they just zoom you, okay? And then there's the other one which I am in. I'm in that boat. My movement is actually kind of clean. My movement is like, it's not insane, but I can do some wall jumps, and I can do like some zipline cancels, and I can do like, I can move okay, right? I kind of I would see myself at an okay level. But then I end up at this point, and I lately played Apex Arenas versus this Diamond player, and I end up at the point where we stand in front of each other and we try to shoot each other, and we just empty magazine after magazine. No one connects their hits because both of us have shit aim. And this is kind of the point where I realized I need to work on my aim a little bit more than on the other game stuff, right? And this is kind of the thing where, you know, the aim was definitely the thing holding me back in that situation, right? And you know, so you kind of have to figure that out for yourself, and it just requires a conscious effort. And this is very important for me, because like I used to be throw myself at a thing and just expect to be better at it, right? Conscious effort is very important. And so number one spot is, we would say, okay, basics, we try to get the basics right, okay? Getting the basics right is you have a decent aim, you have a decent idea how to move in the game, which is done by watching one guide that is not by pro tips, which is, you know, pretty easy to find. And, you know, basically getting an idea of the recoil, right? And getting an idea of like how you want to pick fights, which is, I mean, it's like simple as hell, right? It's like you try to get the high ground, you try to get the highest ground, and you try to get to avoid getting pushed in by the circle. Done. Okay. And then aim and like micro and all of that kind of, you know, the more complicated stuff will come in that second phase. Okay. The second phase is kind of the phase where we understand how much there is in the game, and you can kind of realize this when after you kind of started out with the game, you start to realize what you're all doing wrong and what is going on, and oh my god, this is overwhelming, there's so much here, there's this and this, and I could do this and I could practice this. This is the point where you enter stage 2. Okay, and stage 2, I would say, is like the mid game of getting better at the game, and you will see this repeat every single like couple of elos for yourself, and then you kind of get to this point where there's so much, and that it's very important that you you realize what keeps being the red string that like pulls through all of this, right? What is like the one thing that is consistent, that is always there. Okay, so number 1 is like movement. Okay, movement is one of the Apex fundamentals. It will always be there no matter what map on, you know, no matter what patch, no matter what legend. Slide cancels, wall jumps, zipline plays, cover, splitting the pie, stuff like that will always be there. And then aim will always be there. I don't need to tell you more. Next thing, legends. Try to play a little amount of legends, and if you want to play multiple legends, play legends of one class. So play a defensive legend and a defensive legend, or play a diving legend and a diving legend and a diving legend, right? Like divers are always kind of flankers as well. Or play, you know, so you get the point, right? Play a support. So kind of, it's very important that you get those variables kind of tightened up and kind of like down to a certain amount of variables, so you can kind of overlook and you can realize how well you're doing in each thing. Because this is very important, is like gauging where you are at, how well you're doing, and what the thing is that is holding you back. This is one thing that I famously struggle with in League of Legends. It's just I get to this point where I don't know. It's just everything is there, and like I just have too many concepts in my head, and I'm not doing anything right, and I have trouble picking one thing out because I just ADHD to another thing. And this works much better in other games for me than in League of Legends for whatever reason. But and going back to shooters, we kind of go into this idea of, okay, so I wanna work on my aim, I wanna work on like the fundamentals, and then kind of branch out just a little bit. But basically want to get good at that, right? And this is the point where you also start using the aim trainer as just a warm-up, right? I think it's not really necessary to work on your aim like every day, because you'll get sick of the aim trainer a lot, right? So try to do like 5 minutes of aim training every day just for a warm-up, and then that's it, right? And then if there's a specific need for aim, because whenever you in mid game you realize, okay, dude, my movement is pretty sick, I can do all of these cancels, right? My ability to judge the game is pretty good. I always get in favorable positions. Sometimes I live until the end, right? But then in the end, I just don't clutch it. Like the enemy just always gets me. Maybe that's the point where you realize, okay, maybe I need to work on my aim. Maybe I need to work on different aspects of my aim. Maybe my aim in general is good, but whenever I slide, I just don't hit a shot. Or whenever the enemy jumps, I don't hit a shot, right? And all of this stuff is like fixable, and you just have to figure out what it is that you need. And if it's just literally just the ability to track and the ability to just like unconsciously kill, right? Unconsciously aim, that's the point that you kind of want to reach, and then just use it as a warm-up, the shooter. The aim trainer, okay? And then at the end, at the last level, which is something that you have to be careful with me, because I'm not super good at this. I haven't reached this a lot. I'm not a veteran. I'm not a Shroud. But eventually you'll get to the point where, okay, everything makes sense, right? You've kind of figured this out, you've kind of figured this out, and this is where longevity becomes very important, and where it becomes important that you get a dedication to the game more than like a love for the game, right? Because at that point you've played the game enough, you kind of don't love the game anymore. It's kind of okay to play. And it's kind of the point where you dedicate yourself to, okay, every day I do a lot of aim training, and I do it very hard. Like a very, very difficult, challenging aim training, right? And you try to, like, you know, really grind down those mechanics to the T, right? And it's very important that you don't let yourself slip into the, oh yeah, this is OP, I have so many hours, and, you know, I should always do well, and stuff like this can be very distracting from what you're actually doing. And yeah. So the last kind of like thing that I want to touch on is the Battle Royale thing, right? The Battle Royale problem. Battle Royales have this one big problem, is they are so slow paced if you want to get better. It is very difficult to get better at a Battle Royale if you don't sink in like a million hours, right? Because it kind of has this thing where you do a lot of mundane tasks that you can't really get better at, right? Looting. Sure, you get a little bit better at looting, and you know, you can kind of get better at it, but you don't get like you know, no one ever says, oh dude, this guy's cracked at looting, right? It's just always aim or movement or, you know, understanding of the map or stuff like that, which you don't really practice a lot like this. Now, the understanding of a map, this will just come with time, and you can't really substitute for it because it's in-game specific stuff, right? But in Apex Legends, we do have the arena, which gives us the ability to play every single weapon, practice every single weapon, and have a fast-paced go fighting environment, which is very important because that gives us the ability to just hone those skills. You practice the fights, you practice the mini fights, you practice the 1v2s, the 1v1s, the 2v2s, the 1v3s, and it's perfect because the squad size is the same, and you know, your teammates get both get killed. There you go. Learn how to 1v3. And all of these things you can kind of practice, right? As long as you don't really get too attached to your rank, I guess. Right? You can practice every weapon, you practice the recall, you practice using the weapon, you practice the effective ranges. And my hypothesis is that Apex Legends is going to be much more difficult after a couple of months with Apex. With the arena, Apex Arena being in the game, just because the arena mode gives you such a perfect training environment, such a like CSGO Valorant-esque environment where you kill, you respawn, you kill, you respawn, right? And you don't have like the long downtime of, oh yeah, run there, maybe you don't find a team, try to compete for rank 1 spot, oh yeah, we've ended up fighting one team, you know? That doesn't really happen. So you know, you can kind of get in practice with the weapons you want and stuff like that. And this is why I think that arena is very important. If you don't have that in your game, then maybe play Valorant or CSGO. I don't know. do that, I guess. Or find a game that is similar and play that. But, you know, I think having a game that is like very fast action-paced, action-packed, yes, game is a very important thing for the you know, the aim to really get better very quickly, because otherwise you'll be stuck there for a month and your aim's still shit, you know, which is, this happens a lot with like these tactical games, is that, you know, a lot of people, they actually are super big brain, they have good movement and everything because they practice that constantly, right? And then, you know, the thing hanging behind or lacking behind is like the quick movement and the quick jumps and stuff like that. And I definitely hit that spot with Apex. I never had that problem with Overwatch before, so, you know, Overwatch is obviously a fast-paced, objective-based thing where everyone huddles around the objective. With Battle Royale, it's kind of weird because like the objective can be to not fight an enemy squad, because like kills don't really give you anything except no one competing with you later on. Be that how it may. And this is kind of the like also prologue video to my grind series, where I kind of want to go down the different steps of like, you know, me improving and me playing the game and stuff, and kind of just see where it ends up leaving me. I don't know. I just kind of want to play this. I just kind of want to do this. I want to play a like more competitive, more difficult game. I've been playing a lot of Don't Starve Together, and you know, Don't Starve Together, don't get me wrong, it's a fun game, but you know, I like to balance my life. I like to have enough balance of everything, and I was kind of missing the PvP aspect, the kind of more difficult aspect of shooters. And so here we are, and you can kind of expect this besides other projects, you can kind of expect one of these projects on my channel. We'll see whether or not it'll stay with Apex.